Subramanian Swamy joining us live on the broadcast. Very, very important day for you, Swamy, and of course for the country as well, because of the kind of impact that the hearing on the case and any verdict from the Supreme Court can have. What are you expecting today as the Supreme Court takes up the matter?
Well, the important thing is that I would say that they have to make I have a slightly different approach, or I'd say substantially different approach compared to the other petitioners. I am saying that even instead of abolishing or setting aside the act itself, complete act itself, since they made one exception, that is Ram Janmabhoomi, they can make two more exceptions. And after that, there can be no more exceptions, because all three, Ram Janmabhoomi, Krishna Janmabhoomi, and Kashi Vishwanath, were actually where it is a site-specific temples were there. The site-specific means Ram was born there, so Ram Mandir has to be built only there, where the Babri Masjid stood. Krishna Janmabhoomi also, where the mosque is there, it has to be, the temple has to be there, because that's Krishna Janmabhoomi. And as far as Kashi Vishwanath is concerned, Lord Shiva himself came and planted the Jyotirling. And this Jyotirling, there are 12 of them. The last one which was recovered was by Sardar Patel in Somnath. And now only one is left of the 12. 11 are now in place. And the 12th one is that. After that, all the other temples are not site-specific. They can be shifted. So I think since so much time has passed, temples can be built in another site. They are idol-specific, in the sense the idols are there and the idols can find another temple. And so therefore it can be resolved if the Muslim community is cooperative, in the sense they can't be rigid. These are temples. They were temples and it was demolished. In the case of Kashi Vishwanath, it was an act of revenge, not once but 3 times, and ultimately Aurangzeb gave a fatwa which disparaged the Hindus. So I would say that the easiest solution is to say that the exception of 1 will be expanded to 3, and then after that the Places of Worship Act will act for future temple issues.
Right, but Dr. Swamy, as you mentioned, the Muslim side, I'm referring to the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, sir. They go on to say, because they have been challenging the same, that if you touch the act and it changes the character of any place to worship, that will lead to communal clashes and communal disharmony. They have been raising what has happened post-Babri, citing that there could be riots and communal disharmony if anything is touched. Let the 1947, this act remain as it is, as it was in the year 1947, and make no changes.
Well, they said that when the Ram Janmabhoomi matter was also going on. And, this is something which they should recognize. When in 1947, we partitioned the country, and those who could not accommodate themselves with Hindus got a separate country. Now, we assume that all those who stayed on in India stayed on with the full recognition that they will cooperate and interact with the Hindus, and we are not asking for a wholesale 40,000 temples which were demolished during the Islamic rule. We are not asking for that. We are only saying 3. And the 3, we have given a reason, that these are area specific. It cannot be built anywhere else. I can't build, there are Shiva temples all over the country, but the fact is this one is where Lord Shiva himself planted the Jyotirling. Krishna was born at a specific place, and mosques in other countries are demolished every day. You go to Turkey, you please go to Google and just put a question, and Google will give you a whole list of how many countries, Muslim countries, they are regularly demolishing masjids and building high roads, highways, and so on. So, this kind of threat should not be given. And we must understand the history. We are overlooking the brutal history of Islam. We are willing to live with the Muslims in peace, but these two have to be rebuilt because this is area specific.
Okay, Dr. Swamy, you have said that exceptions should be made for temples which are site specific, but fear that has been expressed, especially coming from the Muslim community, is that if there is a change to the Places of Worship Act, then it will open up a Pandora's box. There are several other places, any particular mosque can be targeted by Hindu groups saying, this was a temple before, and it can be targeted or even demolished. So that is the fear that has been expressed. What would you say to that?
No, there's an illiterate comment of some Muslim person. I think you should understand there is no other temple which is area specific. There are only 3. There are others, but they are already functioning. As I told you, Somnath is now fully restored in 1950. So therefore, these kinds of wild remarks should not be made. We are saying that tell us which is the other area specific. There are none others. There are the sadhus of India, led by Swami Chinmayananda and Dayanand Saraswati and all, at a conference, and they passed a resolution. And RSS has also passed a resolution. There are only 3 temples will be liberated, and this is not recently. They've been doing it 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So therefore, this kind of fear-mongering should not take place. Otherwise, we'll have to use the power of the state to see that if the Supreme Court is convinced that we have an argument, then we will enforce it.
Dr. Swamy, how convincing is the argument of the Muslim body saying that the Act does not violate any cultural rights of any section of the people and is based on fundamental features of the constitutional, which means it is unamendable?
Well, that is all rubbish. It's because, first of all, it's an act passed by Parliament which can always be declared unconstitutional if the Supreme Court feels like it. There's nothing in it which we can say is constitutional. Yes, people have appreciated it, particularly the people who believe very strongly in secularism, that this is a healthy thing. And I also say, yes, the act should remain, but these two must be cleared. I'm giving the court an alternative. The others are saying, no, scrap the act itself. I'm not for scrapping the act. I'm saying the exception made in Section 4 for Ram Janmabhoomi should be expanded to 2 more. After that, the matter is sealed.
Okay, all right. Dr. Swamy, many thanks for joining us on the broadcast. One of the petitioners in the case, Dr. Swamy, speaking to Times Now. And now, today, the Supreme Court is going to take up the issue.